Good morning, everyone. Dr. Stillman here. And today I am excited to be talking about a topic that I deal with in my practice every single day, and that is the decline in our hormones that happens over time as we age. This question I decided to answer in response to a question from a premium Substack subscriber, Caroline, who asked specifically, why do many women get a belly or lose their slim waist after going through menopause? It seems to happen even if you are eating well and doing consistent exercise. Perhaps understanding what happens to your body during and after this change in life would be helpful. Now, the reason I titled this video the way that I did is that this is not a problem that is unique to women. This is a problem that both men and women struggle with, and they struggle with it for the same reason, okay? So why, and before I get too deep into this, I want to let people know we've got a very special webinar coming up on Wednesday. There will be emails going out to it. There's a post about it over on my Substack, stillmanmd.substack.com. Emails will be coming out announcing it at stillmanwellness.com as well. You can go there and make sure you're subscribed. So you also get access to our weekly free webinar that Jim Laird usually and I, sometimes it's just one of us, put on. Last week's was Pain 101, and it was a really good one. Jim did that one. So anyway, those webinars are going to be really interesting, and you're really going to get a lot out of them. They're going to be streamed to these channels, so make sure you also subscribe, hit the notification, like, whatever button. I don't know how all that stuff works. I just show up and make these videos. Okay, so why does this happen? It happens because as we age, our hormone levels naturally decline. Why do things decline as we get older? Why do we age? Why do we decay? This is just a natural property of life, so fundamental and primordial that it sort of defies description. But as we get older, everything, when I explain what hormones are and what they do, often I will use the analogy of a light or a light switch. So hormones are to light, or hormones are to energy in the body what light switches are to light. When we put hormones into the body, they do turn on different cellular energy pathways. They change how DNA is transcribed. They change how proteins are translated. They change how they're modified. They change all kinds of things. This means that hormones are really the switches of your metabolism. But it's important to understand that the switches of the metabolism, they aren't your metabolism, right? And that's why I say that they're like light switches. Because if you turn on a light switch, the light comes on. But there has to be energy in the grid. There has to be a functional circuit that the energy can run through. There has to be a light bulb. The light bulb has to have some kind of filament or LED that emits light, right? So it's not just about having a light switch. That's why many people will get into hormone replacement therapy with doctors and they won't get the results that they want. Their hormones will be difficult to balance. They won't feel better. Symptoms will persist. One of the most common mistakes that I see in functional medicine practice and integrated medicine practice is that a patient with, let's say that it's thyroid hormone, which does decline as you get older, by the way, which is why the incidence diagnosed of low thyroid hormone or hypothyroidism goes up as you get older. That's a whole other kettle of fish that we'll talk about one day. But as thyroid hormone levels go down, and what I was talking about, light switches, light, hormones, as those levels go down, overall your metabolism starts to decline. Your cells produce less energy. You burn less fuel in your mitochondria. This means that you have less exclusion zone water. All these kinds of things that I talk about in my podcast appearances, book, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, right? So the reason this is so important to understand as an analogy is that it's not enough to just have hormones. And like I was saying, when people get bad results with hormone replacement therapy, it's because there's other underlying problems and errors in their metabolism that are not being addressed. And that's why I haven't gone the road or the route that many integrative and functional medicine doctors have gone, which is to just do hormone replacement therapy. I don't have a problem with them doing it. I've just seen that people don't get the best results when that's all they focus on. We're going to be talking more about that at the Wednesday webinar, which again, you should tune into. It's going to be a humdinger. Anyway, so what are these other fundamental things? They're the things, like I said, that I talk about all the time: light, water, energy, electromagnetic forces, food, minerals, lifestyle, healthy relationships, connection, meaning in life. All these different things matter, right? So we help people optimize all of those things, okay? Now, despite that, even if you have all of that sorted out and your nutrition is right on track and you've got great mineral levels and vitamin intake and your macros are dialed in and you're weightlifting and you're doing all the things, right? You may still struggle with your body composition as you get older. It takes more and more work as someone gets older to maintain the same physique that they had when they were younger. I'm going to caveat that because it's not necessarily about age. A lot of this is about your overall health and your physiologic state. What do I mean by that? I will see 20, 25, 30-year-old men in my practice who have low testosterone levels, okay? We will see women in the practice at those ages who have severe imbalances of different hormones, right? The knee-jerk conventional solution to these women's problems tends to be birth control pills, which I don't use because I don't trust them. And I think that's a whole nother topic. We'll cover that another day. For men, it is important to understand that age is not necessarily a factor anymore in testosterone levels. That's why any man coming into the practice, we check a testosterone level. We want to know where that level is. I've gone back and forth whether or not I should do that because some men are not coming in for that. I'm not sure if it's going to be relevant. I don't want to overdiagnose and overtreat. But I do think it's a very compelling data point for men, often to realize how toxic and dysfunctional their lifestyle is. And, dollars to donuts, on balance, I would say the majority of men coming to me for my help do have an issue with their testosterone because pretty much anything that knocks your testosterone off, gentlemen, is going to wreck your metabolism. And it's going to have effects on your brain, your nervous system, your performance, how and who you are. In many respects, I view part of my job as helping people optimize their hormones because it's so vital for health and wellness optimization. That's why, honestly, I don't just coach people on diet and lifestyle and nutrition because some of these drugs, particularly testosterone, is actually a DEA Schedule II drug. Many people don't realize that testosterone is just as tightly regulated by the DEA as some hard drugs of abuse, which is probably not right in my opinion. But as you all realize, there's basically a war on testosterone going on right now. If that's news to you, we have a lot to teach you about what's really happening in the world. And I'll just leave that one at that. So these hormone levels decline, as I was saying, as a result of the aging process. As they decline, your metabolism declines with them. And I want you to think about this like a plateau. I often think about performance as being on a plateau. And we might call this your range. It's the area in which you can operate without seeing a huge decrease or increase in your performance. And the bigger this range in any direction, the more resilient, tough, fit, and healthy you are. If you can go out and drink 6 beers and have a large cheese pizza and then wake up and play a Super Bowl winning game of football, well, you're very resilient and you're very tough. And you'll notice that professional sports leagues don't have a lot of people in them past the age of 35, 40, etc. That varies a lot depending upon how much abuse the athletes are going to have to endure, right? Football is not the same sport as baseball. Lots of pitchers make it decades, and that's partly because a lot of their success is about technique and not so much about raw strength and athleticism necessarily, okay? So as your hormones are declining, your metabolism is going with them. This means that you have to be tighter and tighter about what you eat, how you exercise, your daily routine in order to not gain weight, okay? Go back to that plateau idea. The plateau on which you can operate without gaining weight, without feeling tired, without feeling sluggish, without having mood swings, without having poor sleep, whatever. It's shrinking as we get older. Where people get into a lot of hot water, I've noticed as they get older, is they don't realize this is happening. They know it's happening intellectually. If you ask them, hey, are you aging? No one's dumb enough to say no. And if they are, I don't know, they're probably just being funny. So they know it's happening. But they don't plan on the fact that, okay, at 35, I can work a 70-hour week and do really high intensity, very hard work of some variety, intellectual, physical, emotional, or otherwise. And I can show up 6 days a week and I can crush it. Well, 50 rolls around, 55 rolls around, right? Which is for women the time of menopause. And for women, menopause is, sometimes people call it falling off of a cliff, or they call it a storm. They call it something that has to do with a severe, significant change in their health status. And that's fair, because for women in menopause, their hormones sort of drop off of a cliff. They really decline rapidly. Okay, that's part of why they can gain weight so rapidly in menopause, 5, 10, 15 pounds in a matter of months to a year, right? Men, it's more insidious, it's more gradual. Again, though, it can happen so quickly in youth that I now check these testosterone levels in men with any man coming into the practice. So hormone levels decline, people's metabolisms get worse. What can we, and as that happens, they have to get tighter and tighter and tighter with their daily routine. That usually means also offloading stuff at work to other people. We often have hard conversations with people about this because they haven't prepared to work less on their business or in their career or on their family, and work enough on their wellness, if you follow me. And so we have to talk to them about, well, these are trade-offs, right? You say you want to lose 15 pounds in as many months or even weeks, but you also have 6 children and a part-time job and a husband and a sick mother-in-law maybe that lives with you. Do you have the money to hire help? Can you put your kids in school instead of, say, homeschooling them? Not that you should or would want to, but you have to start to make these decisions about where am I going to spend my time and my money, because you only have so much of each. And this is a place where a lot of people have to get, shall I say, ruthless and say, you know what, I can no longer help out this person or that person in my life who I was helping out. I'm out of the season of my life where I could be that generous with my time, my energy, my money, whatever it is. And it's critically important for people to realize that, because oftentimes what people will do is they will say, well, instead of doing the hard work of cutting the things out of my life that are not serving me, I'm actually just going to grab some hormones and take them exogenously and make my metabolism go back to being youthful. Now, is there anything ipso facto wrong with that? That is truly a very personal question that you should share with a clinician who understands you not just as a number on a piece of paper, but as a living, breathing, living man or woman who has a conscience and a soul and a spirit, and needs to have this conversation, help them understand how to weigh these clinical decisions. And I really think this is very important, because in this time of people being very mindful of their budget, which I of course respect and honor, the reality is that many of them are doing things like going to cut rate, low budget hormone replacement practices where you kind of are just a number. And you might have a 5 or 10 or 15 minute appointment with a doctor, but it's sort of, hey, yeah, your number's low. Here's the drug. Here's the pharmacy. Take this for this many days or whatever. Call us when you need a refill. See you later. It's sad that we've gotten to that place, but here we are. I have nuanced, thoughtful conversations with patients that are even rather far-reaching and philosophical in their character about this topic. And the reason for that is that I don't want anyone coming to me to take hormones just so that they can continue living, as we like to say, longer. Because many times what will happen is people will sort of keep the plates spinning. They'll keep all these different balls moving in their life, and they'll tell themselves that it's okay and they can get away with it and it'll be fine. It'll all work out. I just need to lose 10 pounds. I just need to get my sleep back. I just need a little bit more energy. But what they end up doing is overextending chronically in life, and then they will end up with a health crisis that often comes out of nowhere, a cancer, a heart attack, a sudden autoimmune or immunological illness of some kind. And then they're asking questions like, well, what happened? I thought I was healthy. Well, maybe you were healthy, but did you really have your stress at an appropriate, optimal level? Were you really eating well? Were you actually having positive relationships? Were you really treating yourself well? Were you in touch with how you feel? All these things that people learn to ignore, that they don't think or are taught by society are not as important as their next car, house, handbag, whatever. All of these things, they end up accumulating over time and then creating a lot of problems and a lot of illness. And that's why I'm so passionate about educating people about these things. Okay, you may not have expected all of that in a bag of chips to come out of this simple question. So I'm just going to boil it down and make it simple to wrap things up. Your hormones decline as you get older, and your hormones control and regulate your metabolism, particularly testosterone and DHEA and other androgens. As we age, we have to make a choice. Are we, number one, going to really optimize ourselves in every way possible? Are we going to optimize our diets and our lifestyles and our daily routines and our relationships and our everything, right? Because that's going to require you offloading responsibilities onto other people. And you need to learn how to do that anyway, because when people don't do that, they end up at the end of their life with a ton of responsibilities that end up getting dropped. And things they worked on for a long time, jobs, careers, businesses, foundations, nonprofits, kids, family members, dependents, end up bearing the burden of them failing to plan for them to fail. Because newsflash, none of you are getting out of this alive. Everyone dies, and everyone's got to be prepared to go through the process of offloading their responsibilities onto other people as their seasons of life progress, whether or not they take exogenous hormones to address this issue, okay? So your hormones are going to decline, you're going to tend to gain weight, and you're going to tend to lose muscle mass. And optimizing all those things helps you mitigate those problems. Then what you can do, and what we do in my practice, is have a thoughtful conversation about whether or not it's appropriate for you to use hormones, testosterone, estrogen, progesterone. We use testosterone in men, just to be really clear about that. And then women will use a combination of testosterone, DHEA, estrogen metabolites, and progesterone in order to optimize hormones to ideal levels. Ideal levels is a really loaded term. When I say ideal, I mean there's enough in the system to maintain optimal metabolism and mitigate or eliminate the symptoms of hormone deficiency, otherwise known as andropause and menopause, okay? It also means optimizing various physiologic functions like, say, sleep, okay? Once you've optimized those things, though, you also want to make sure that you didn't overshoot and create problems by giving people what we call supraphysiologic doses of hormones. These are doses of hormones that your body would not naturally produce outside of, say, a disease state, right? So you don't want too much, you don't want too little, you want it to be just right. That Goldilocks principle, a very trite, saying, but a very useful one nonetheless. So that's the name of the game, and that's what we do. And we do that because people love it and they get great results. And a lot of the issues they're having with aging just kind of go away when you optimize their hormones. But I don't do it lightly. I don't just run around handing these prescriptions out like, I hate to say it, a lot of doctors are. And I respect the fact that some people don't have the time or the money to put into optimizing this, and they need it done for various reasons. And I'll share with you a quick story about where that might become really critical, because it's something that I think people don't necessarily see as obvious. If someone were to come to me who has to work at night, a police officer, a special forces operator, soldier, a derivatives trader, somebody who makes their livelihood at night and it's crushing their hormones, I would have a conversation with them about the fact that their job is killing them and they need to get out of it. And they also need to be exceedingly well paid for doing it, because it's literally cutting their life short in a very strong statistical sense. And then if they said, yes, I understand all that, and my hormone levels are very low, and it's really impacting my performance, I would say, okay, and it's appropriate for us to use this as essentially what I call it is a bridge to a better place. You want to give that person an opportunity to deal with their issues and have the hormone or the exogenous chemical that you're using, in this case hormones, right, to give them the physiologic function and capacity they need, the resilience, increasing that plateau or mitigating its shrinking, right, that I talked about earlier, so that they can go out and do what they need to do in order to achieve what they need to achieve in life, okay? Because at the end of the day, there's people who just have to go out there and do hard, dirty, difficult, traumatic things that are going to tank their hormone levels through some combination of toxic exposure, traumatic brain injury, just wear and tear, decay, et cetera, et cetera. So hopefully that illuminates you guys as to why we do this, how we do it, and what it means. Again, sign up for my webinars, stillmanmd.substack.com, stillmanwellness.com. We've got a great webinar coming out on Wednesday where we're going to unpack a lot more of topics that I touched on today, and you will get a ton out of that talk. So thank you all for watching. And again, this is a question that I got from a premium subscriber on my Substack blog. If you would like to ask me questions and get my in-depth thoughts and answers to them, you too can have this power. Go to my Substack, become a premium subscriber for $20 a month, and I ask them questions periodically. And I'm also working on hiring a part-time assistant for the Substack who will help us research these topics outside of my time so you get even more value. You'll also get access to my protocols, recipes, and practices that I use to help people achieve optimal vitality and, like I say, their highest level of well-being. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Take care. Have a great day. And don't forget to get outside. It is critical to your health and well-being.